Welcome to our very first Wilson family reunion. We're thrilled you guys could join us. I'm even more thrilled to be talking about this topic with all of you because I have a feeling it's as near and dear to your hearts as it is to mine, and that is brand partnerships and collaborations. So I'll do some quick introductions for the interest of time, and then we'll get right into it. So on my left here, I've got Ed Gibbons, who works with the Layer brand, but has a history in Cleveland. He's a local. At the head of the table, I don't know why. Sorry, Josh Wollock. Josh Wollock is here representing, let's say, the Hennessy Moet brand. We're doing some work with those guys as well, so we're very excited to have you on the panel. Desron, nice to see you. We literally just connected over email 2 weeks ago, and here he is as a guest on the family reunion panel. Desron joins us from New Balance, so thank you, Desron Dorset, for joining. And then finally, Erica Smith from the Pepsi team is here to talk all things Pepsi, Mountain Dew, and basketball. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for having me. So I'd like to first kind of do a quick primer on how we all came to be sitting tableside at this All-Star event. For us, it all starts with the NBA. And I don't think that much of anything makes me any happier than being able to say that after 37 years, Wilson is back as the official ball of the NBA. And we wanted to make sure, when we thought about our first All-Star weekend back, that we did this with meaning and purpose. And we wanted it to start with, how do we talk about and really embrace how basketball drives positive change and has a positive impact on our lives and the lives of our players, and just the communities in which we all operate. So I know you guys work in basketball and you see that every single day. I think one of the main things when we signed the NBA that we found was that it gave us a little moment to take pause and to reflect on what does basketball mean, and what does it mean to our communities, what does it mean more broadly to the world, to our brands. And that may sound a little esoteric, but what we realized is we didn't have to overthink it. Basketball means family, basketball means inclusivity, and it means having an equal voice at the table. And that is why we're here today. So I'd love to stop using my voice and turn it over to your great voices to talk brand partnerships. So you're on the spot here, Ed, as our first question. So again, thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
The first question I have for you is, so at Wilson we talk about brand collabs and partnerships as collisions that might not normally happen between two brands, between a partner and another brand. Can you talk to me, I find your career path very inspiring, how collisions have benefited your career, brought you to where you are today to be able to launch the Layer brand?
Well, first of all, I want to say just being involved, having the opportunity to be involved in the NBA lifestyle, we'll say, and to have that collision coming from a place where I really didn't have an idea of that culture, and the building of relationships and just the overall networking, being around in the NBA culture community, which allowed me to segue into developing my own brands, developing relationships, and putting me in position to even have a chance to have collaborations. So from one collision to another, really to being able to position my brand to partner with other brands and have these collisions, as you like to say.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
I like it. Cool. Desron, I mentioned that we just collided via email introduction 2 weeks ago. Dragged you out here. We have a family member in common, Jamal Murray. I'd love to hear from the New Balance perspective how you guys choose your athletes, what's in and out of bounds, how you work with them, and so forth.
Yeah, you know what? Can I touch on something that you said?
You may absolutely.
You said when we signed the NBA, and it's the first time I've actually heard someone say it was our choice to say NBA, we're coming and we're going to be the official ball. So that's the way we look at our business, right? So we're never going to have 100 players in the NBA and that's by choice, right?
Yeah.
So for us, Jamal Murray is our guy in common, and that was my opening line. My opening line was to you, like, hey, we have someone in common, he's awesome, let's do something together. And I really and truly believe that we'll do something together, connect Jamal, NBA, Wilson, and New Balance because of who he is, right? So ironically, he was in Boston last week, he came by the office, and his personality is amazing. So the answer is, we start with our ethos, fearlessly independent. We want our athletes to be who they are, and we want them to fit into not New Balance, but into themselves, right? If we have to go after an athlete because we like the way they play basketball, that won't be an athlete that will be right for us. So it's something that you also said, like, basketball is the connective tissue of life, I think. I'm biased. But like, basketball culture is just culture in general. It's lifestyle culture, and that's what we're doing here. So like, we're in basketball at New Balance to sell basketball shoes, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to validate that New Balance is the place to be, it is the brand to be with, but also it is something that you want to aspire to be. So when we look at Jamal Murray as an example, he's not only inspirational, but he's aspirational, and that needs to be something that's on us. I won't ramble too much, but I can go on.
That's awesome.
Really good.
I'm going to break my script a little bit here. What about other brands in the room or at the table? How do you guys choose your athletes? What I would say, maybe like an inside peek into what makes what makes some athletes the easiest and most fun to work with. Love to know your perspective on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to chime in because we have an awesome roster on the Mountain Dew brand. It ranges from Zion Williamson, Zach LaVine, who was an NBA All-Star this year and a three-point contestant. We have Asia Wilson on the WNBA side and a host of other players. And so what we really are looking for is some of the same criteria that New Balance is looking for, but we really want players that shine on the court, but also are multifaceted off of the court. For example, take Asia Wilson. She is truly a person who does, and is an instigator of change. If you look at her entrepreneurial endeavors, so she has her own candle business. She obviously was the MVP of the 2020 season. She has a host of other interests. And is also an advocate for community and social justice. And so we're looking for those types of personalities, people who we can holistically be proud of and represent the Mountain Dew brand very well. We also love Jaron Jackson. We recently just re-signed him from the Memphis Grizzlies. Again, someone who is on a team that we partner with, the Memphis Grizzlies, but then also has an outstanding personality, someone who leans into Mountain Dew's more comedic side as well. And as you all probably saw him on the Dew Zone with Drewski podcast we hosted last year, and just a lot of other content that we'll be coming out with. So we love those types of players.
Cool. What about you guys? How about working with players, whether it's in an official capacity or just through seeding and...
Yeah, authenticity matters to me. The individual, kind of like how you spoke on how they choose their athletes. I think real friendships that can turn into a partnership first. I think there has to be commonality and something real there, real synergy. And then from there you talk about the other stuff. But I like to go into a situation having a genuine common thing going, something congruent first, and then go from there.
I think from where I sit working with Hennessy, it's the exact same thing. We did a deal with Russell Westbrook last year, and you start to look at all the opportunities and all the athletes that are sitting in the NBA and how great they are. And we were drawn to Russell. Again, you talked about on the court excellence, and of course it's there, but it was off the court and what he stands for and what he meant and what he did in the bubble, right? And how that then went on from year to year. And for us, that was really important. And then in doing the deal, I think kind of echoing what you said, is it wasn't about just creating that transaction with him, but it was about finding someone who could have that shared belief, and then we could draw that up and help him tell that story in a little bit more powerful way than maybe he can't do right now on his own, just because he's playing in the game, and help him kind of get to that point, because in his second part of his career, he's going to really focus on all that off the court in a bigger, better way, and that's what we really want to tap into. And you and I talked about the on the court versus the off the court, and holistically, that's why as a brand, we entered into the NBA. Was the product on the court's great, but that culture and lifestyle off the court is so critical. And when Hennessy and NBA came together, everyone was like, it's about time. I mean, and it's true. And so now for us, it's really bringing that up to life. And so for the lifestyle and piece of it is so important for us in athletes and everything we do. And I know we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I know you guys have a pretty distinct POV here too as well.
Yeah. I would say like the one thing that's echoing is we literally go into every meeting with an athlete, not just basketball, but our entire portfolio, and it's partnership over sponsorship. We don't sponsor one athlete. We partner with every single one of our athletes, and we're part of their brands. I think when I looked at my opportunity to partner with New Balance and come join the team, I sort of looked at where it was, and I looked at like the footwear partner of an athlete in the NBA is so important, and we want to make sure that we're in their lives 24/7, 365. We want to make sure that they understand that we are here for them, that we're partners, right? So for us, if we're in a meeting and we're getting the feeling that an athlete is just here for the paycheck, then I think that's a really quick qualifier that we're out of the room. So like when you sign with New Balance and when you're a part of the family, like you're a part of the family in a 360 way. It was funny. We were in the meeting and it was a rookie player, and he was a nice player, good up and coming player, had a great season. And he said, hey, can I wear, another brand off court, sometimes? And we're like, there's no chance, right? And that's probably just more of like management not giving him the criteria, but we just want him to understand that, like, for us, basketball on the court is so important because we make basketball shoes, right? So to your point, on court it's okay, but for us, we make basketball shoes. But off court, we also want you to understand that, like, we're in basketball to be a top 3 athletic and apparel brand, and that's what we're all in this together. So like, we want you to be here, right? So like, we don't talk to someone unless they say, hey, I want to be with you, and then we can have a conversation, right? So that's the way we look at it.
I think we take a very like-minded approach at Wilson, and I think that's a function of we want to find players who want to work with us, because those tend to be, like you said, the more authentic relationships. I love that, partnerships, not sponsorships. And ultimately what you're doing is spending more time working together than checking the contract,
right.
How many visits, appearances, and posts we have left, because that's not a sign of a good partnership, I think. So it seems like we're all kind of on the same page there. Let's go back to the off-the-court conversation, Josh, that we were having. I was kind of doing some research on the Hennessy, on your more recent collaborations, and you guys were doing some really cool things off the court with some artists to stay culturally relevant. I'd love to hear just what's that strategy, how does it work, and how do you keep it alive?
I mean, you said it. It's not much more than that, but it's really about, for us as a brand, and specifically, you have the portfolio model Hennessy, but Hennessy, it's really pulling out those shared equities to further talk to our customer and consumer in a relevant way. Like, we're not just going to do the NBA, take the mark and go, okay, let's run some TV, right? Of course, I know every brand says that, but for us, it's about how do we use the NBA as a property? How do we use partners like you and collaborations we're doing, athletes we're talking about, and really dive deeper down in that culture? And for us, that's the really, really critical thing. So we're not trying to be all for everyone by any stretch. But what we want to do is for the consumers and the customers that respect and like us, we want to show them that we understand them on a day-to-day basis. And even for folks like Ed here, we work consistently with great artists and talent like that to help us take apart what we're doing as a brand and bring that to life in more relevant ways as they are dealing every day, kind of with their lifestyle. And I'm sure it's something that you guys are doing. And, with Wilson, we're really excited about you guys coming back. And we talk about that. And talking to Amanda, the shared equity of who they are and the community aspect for us makes it a no-brainer to figure out how we partner. And now we just have to kind of go with timelines, which are tough, right? Production timelines for everybody, as we know. But two is how do we now just do it? And it's not just going to be a basketball. It's not just going to be a piece of equipment. It's going to be something that really makes sense to who they are as a brand and who we are as a brand, and how, and then ultimately down into the marketplace as we build it. And so I'd be actually curious to see kind of how you guys attack that too. Working with brands from that perspective, and what your view is from that as well.
In regards to Can you say that one more time?
No, it's like, so, we work with artists, from
Right.
Do the Balls. How do you guys feel about that? When you're kind of creating pieces or getting in with a brand, like if it was a Wilson or a Hennessy or whoever it might be.
Oh,
for you.
I think it needs to make sense.
Yeah.
Like I just wouldn't go to a liquor company just because they're there and I like to drink liquor. It needs to align with my brand. It needs to make sense. Our ideologies need to connect. And I think in today's market, the younger consumer, the younger person out there, everybody's a little bit more knowledgeable. You just can't throw a basketball player with a basketball shoe and expect people to say, hey, this is great, this is good. Everybody is educated now. Not at all. Everybody's a little bit more savvy, and it takes a lot to actually engage with people and for them to believe that what you're trying to bring to them is authentic and real. And a lot of times, from the bigger brands like yourself, you guys have to deal with everybody already saying, this is just a guy with a liquor company and they did a deal and they want us to buy it.
Yep.
I think we really have to dive into being able to tell these stories that make sense, that are authentic, and give the people what they're looking for and make it as real as possible. So that's how I go when I approach a Hennessy or a New Balance. It has to come from where I'm creating and make sense for a brand partnership.
You're right about the
I'd rather not do it
Yeah.
if it doesn't make sense.
You said that a few times, and I'm like, you're spot on. I think for us, like, we had something that came in front of us, and we're like, how is this authentic to the athlete? If it's not authentic to the athlete, like, it might be great, but, like, it doesn't work for us. I think I walked in a really good situation with New Balance. Like, I walked in, they won, 2020 Footwear Company of the Year, right? And a large part of that was because of the collaborations that the team was doing. And I could easily grab one of those collaborators and say, hey, let's put them on the basketball shoe. But like, what is their organic connection to basketball? We're not just gonna grab someone and say, hey, come collaborate on a basketball shoe because you've done great on a lifestyle shoe. For us, what we're doing, we're trying to build it from the ground up, and we want to be as organic and authentic as possible. So another anecdote that we do, maybe we win a couple athletes over when we talk about it, is we ensure that every single athlete right now has PEs. And if you're really into like the basketball footwear world, you understand that not every brand does that. But for us, like, even if you are the last man on the bench, we want you to be a part of our family and tell your story. And the best way to do that is through your PEs. And we've actually retailed some PEs from folks that, typically wouldn't have a retail PE at other brands. And that's important to us to make sure that the athletes can express themselves and be fearlessly independent. So, it's worked really well.
It's great.
I wanted to bring it back to the Pepsi Mountain Dew side. So you guys are obviously, as a brand, affiliated with some of the most iconic sporting events, that are out there. Going back to this authenticity idea and concept, how do you guys keep it real and stay authentic? But also, I think it's that balance as a brand and making sure you shine through as well, right? So can we talk a little bit about your approach over there?
Absolutely. So hopefully you all are looking forward to the Mountain Dew 3-point contest on All-Star Saturday night. It might be a little biased, but we think it's the best event. And really, honestly, one of our strategies and one of our focuses throughout the entire NBA season is the 3-point territory, and just trying to strengthen NBA fans' association with us being that presenting sponsor. And so first, when you were talking about authenticity with players, we also have had to take a look and say, hey, we want to make sure that we have some 3-point sharpshooters on our roster. We have Jamal Murray too, and I know that he's out at the moment, but he's a great 3-point shooter. And then Zach LaVine, who's obviously in the 3-point contest and an all-star. So, we're starting to build our roster to be authentic to 3-point, but then also how we stand out in the 3-point contest is we have this new area that was introduced in 2020 called the Dew Zone. So it's the part of the court that's 30 feet from the hoop, marked by the green pedestals, and then the Dew Zone ball that we collaborated with Wilson on. And so that stands out just visually because Mountain Dew green is all over the arena during the 3-point contest and all throughout our graphics and the ball. So we stand out visually that way. But then also going back to the 3-point tie-in through the entire season, you'll see that we have partnered with Bleacher Report on 3-point treated highlights to show the hottest 3 points of the week across the league. We also even integrated a three-point contest into the NBA 2K22 game. And we have Zach LaVine hosting three-point contests throughout that. So we just want to make sure that we are staying on strategy and staying authentic to our great sponsorship with the league in the three-point contest.
You don't need to answer this. Did you make Zach LaVine participate in the tournament just to have that? You don't need to answer that. But like,
I'll answer it.
That was a great move.
I had nothing to do with it, but I was very pleased.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, what a great tie
It's
into
just
everything
like
else we
the
have
red
going
thread.
on.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe we're just like a great partner and
Love
they just
it.
decided to do me a solid.
So good. So good.
Well, thank you guys. Believe it or not, we're at our time already. I feel like we could talk on forever. I appreciate you coming out on Thursday night of this awesome All-Star weekend, and sounds like we'll all stay in touch and find ways to work together.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to dine and dash, but I'd love to connect with you guys.